The Ford F-150 Lightning's intelligent backup power system is the first of its kind. It allows you to use your Lightning to power your home during a power outage. And for the very first time in this video, you're going to see it working in a customer's home. That home being my home. But first, don't forget, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my upcoming electric vehicle news and reviews. So I've had my Lightning for about 6 months now, and I'm really enjoying it so far. But what took me so long to get intelligent backup power system installed? Let me explain. I needed to do a complete service upgrade at my house. And I also needed to have the transformer that's in front of my house replaced. Because it was an old, outdated transformer, it was actually scheduled to be replaced, but my service upgrade expedited that process, and my utility was able to come out and put in the new transformer, which we needed for me to upgrade from 150 amps to the 400 amp service I have now. Now, most people will not have to upgrade to a 400 amp service. Some people will have to upgrade their service to accommodate Ford Charge Station Pro, but probably not to a 400 amp service. Now, I'm an unusual case. I have Ford Charge Station Pro, which I wanted to install a 100 amp supply to it so I can charge at the full 80 amps. You don't need to. You can derate that to charge at a lower rate if you want to. If you don't have that extra capacity, you can set Charge Station Pro to charge at a much lower rate and not have to upgrade your electrical service. But I wanted the full 80 amps, and I also have in the garage a 60 amp circuit for the Tesla wall connector, two 50 amp circuits for my two NEMA 1450 outlets, plus a couple of 20 amp, 120 volt outlets here that I use for various things. So I have like 300 amps in my garage here. I bet you don't have 300 amps in your garage, so most people aren't going to need to do a full like 400 amp service and replace a transformer like I had to. But before you install Charge Station Pro, you will need to have an electrician do a load calculation to determine if you do need a service upgrade or not, because most homes will need a service upgrade if you're going to add a 100 amp circuit. Again, you could derate it if you'd like, but kind of the beauty of Ford Charge Station Pro is that it can deliver 80 amps to your Lightning and charge it much faster, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But I'm a special case here with the State of Charge garage. I have all these charging stations. I do all kind of demonstrations. I need to have a lot of power in the garage, so that really delayed my installation. So let's talk a little bit about Ford's Charge Station Pro. As I said, it's an 80 amp charger that's bidirectional. Not only can charge your vehicle, but it also will accept power from your vehicle to power your house when you pair it with Ford's intelligent backup power system. So that's the first piece of the puzzle for intelligent backup power. Now, I elected to install mine at the full 80 amps because I wanted to be able to charge my Lightning really quickly. I have the extended range version of the Lightning, and the battery pack has 131 kilowatt hours of usable capacity. If I were to use the supplied Ford mobile charger, which delivers 32 amps to the vehicle, it would take about 22 hours to fully charge the Lightning from 0 to 100%. Ford's Charge Station Pro, charging at the full rate, cuts that 22 hours down to about 9.5 hours. So no matter how empty the battery is, I can roll into my garage, on fumes, proverbial fumes, like very little electrons left in there, and by the next morning, it'll be fully charged. Now, there are options in between Ford's Charge Station Pro and the portable charger that comes with the vehicle. Actually, it used to come with the vehicle. Now it's optional. Ford's banging you for 500 bucks now. When I got my Lightning, it was included in the truck. But if you do have that Ford portable charging cord, it takes about 22 hours. Now, if you want to get something in the middle, you can get a 40 amp level 2 charger. And that would take about 18 hours to charge an extended range battery Lightning like I have here. If you got a 48 amp charger, that would cut it down to about 15 hours. So that's a pretty good option. And Ford actually sells a 48 amp charging station called the Ford Connected Charge Station. So you do have options if you don't want to go with the Ford Charge Station Pro. But again, you need that if you want intelligent backup power. Ford's Charge Station Pro also comes standard with the extended range battery Lightnings, which mine has. So Mine came with the vehicle, actually got mailed to me by Sunrun about 3 or 4 weeks after I got my Lightning. If you have a standard range Lightning and you want Ford's Charge Station Pro, you can order it. It costs $1,310. And you can also do intelligent backup power with standard range battery Lightnings. Any version of the Lightning is compatible with Ford's intelligent backup power system as long as you buy all of the equipment and install it. Okay, so let's talk about Ford's intelligent backup power system. If you want to use the backup power system, first off, as I mentioned, you need Ford's Charge Station Pro. Secondly, you have to purchase the intelligent backup power system. It costs $3,895. That's just for the hardware. That doesn't include installation. Ford's intelligent backup power partner is Sunrun, and that is the preferred installer by Ford. They'll put it all together in a package for you. The hardware, the installation, they'll come out and give you a price, and you could use Sunrun to do the installation. They'll even bundle it with solar if you want to have solar installed and do the whole installation for you. But you don't have to use Sunrun. You can use your own installer. And I chose to use my channel sponsor, Qmerit, to do the whole installation, including the 400 amp service upgrade, installing Ford Charge Station Pro, installing the intelligent backup power system, connecting everything to my solar array and my natural gas generator, which you're going to learn about in a few minutes. The whole thing took about 4 days of work, and we were actually surprised when we powered everything up and it worked in the first attempt. And I say we're surprised because I've seen a lot of stories online where people are having difficulty with Ford's intelligent backup power system. There's forums where people are saying it's not working, or it worked and then shut off and stopped working. I've had mine working a few times here. Now, I've never actually needed it during a power outage because since we've installed it, I haven't had any power outages, but I've done power outage simulations where I just kill the power to the house and plug everything in and see if it works. And it's worked so far, which we're going to take a look at next. Before we jump into that, let's jump into the Lightning so I can show you how we pair the vehicle with Ford's intelligent backup power system. So once you have the intelligent backup power system installed in your house and ready to go, you need to download an app called Ford Charge Station Pro. You then pair your Ford Charge Station Pro with the app. You can then actually pair the Charge Station Pro to your FordPass app, and then you don't need the Ford Charge Station Pro app anymore. It's really only there so you could set things up. You then hop into your Lightning and you need to pair Ford Charge Station Pro with the Lightning. I've already done this, so I can't do it again, but let's take a look at the settings on where you would do that, and we'll talk about some of the other settings you can set in the vehicle. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is click on your truck icon here and scroll down to Intelligent Backup Power. Let's click on that, and here we'll go into Settings. Okay, so first up here, you'll notice automatic transfer. I have it set so that if the vehicle is plugged in and there's a power outage, it will automatically turn on and start providing power to the house. Now, I've done this a few times now, and the interesting thing is there's varying times of how long it takes. I've seen it go on as quickly as about 45 seconds, I think, and then other times about 1.5 minutes. I'm not sure exactly why that is. But, you know, in less than 2 minutes for sure, the power turns on every time. So I have it set on so it turns on automatically. If I were to turn this off, you would then need to go into your app and manually turn it on during a power outage. I think it's better to have it automatic, but that's up to you. And next we have here the energy reserve. I have it set for 50 miles. So what'll happen is if I'm using intelligent backup power to power my house, it'll drain the battery down until there's only 50 miles of range left. Now I'm leaving that so that if there was some extended power outage, I could actually power the house for a while, unplug, drive somewhere, recharge the car, because even when there's severe power outages here in the area, like when we had Hurricane Sandy a while ago, there were still places to charge the car. There were still certain areas and pockets that had power. So I would drive there, DC fast charge, come home, plug the vehicle in, power the house again. You'll notice here 234 miles. You'd say, oh wow, the Lightning goes further than that. Well, it's the middle of the winter now, and it's only about 17 or 18 degrees out. So I've been driving around today in very cold weather. Yes, it does say 51 degrees here, but I'm in my garage now and I have the heat on. So it's a little warmer in here, but it's under 20 degrees outside. And that's why the range is so low. But you can set this to whatever you want. You could say, hey, I want, 100 miles of range. And then you'd come down here and click save. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to save it. But we talked about the initial setup before. This is where you would do it. You would click add a station and it will then search for your Charge Station Pro, and that's how you link it to your vehicle. As you can see here, my station is already connected, and the name of it is Ford 3000. So that's basically what you do. After you have Intelligent Backup Power installed, you link it to your app, then you come in the vehicle, and then you link it to the truck. So now we're going to have the fun part. Let's go downstairs into my basement and take a look at the actual setup of how I have Intelligent Backup Power installed and my new service and all that good stuff. All right, well, here she is. The far end, that's my electric service. These three pieces here are Ford's Intelligent Backup Power. Over here, I have my inverter for my solar array. But before we really dive into all this stuff, let's go back in time to how it looked before I started this upgrade. Okay, so on the far left, you'll see my service panel. That's a 150 amp service panel. Next to it is a little sub panel that I added a few years ago. Next to that is my natural gas generator panel. And up here, this SunPower module here is what connects my system to my SunPower app, and it allows me to monitor the production. It actually stopped working a few years ago, and I really didn't use it much anyway, so I'm not going to be replacing that. Okay, and over here I have the two inverters for my SunPower system. This larger inverter here controls 3 strings of 9 panels each. The smaller inverter controls 2 strings of 6 panels each. I have 39 panels in my system, and they're all the SP225, 225 watt panels. I installed them back in 2009. So my total system's output is just shy of 9 kilowatt. Okay, and as you can see here now, we started doing the work. We ripped out a lot of the old equipment, started installing all the new panels and so forth. And here's what it looks like now that it's finished. So now all the way on the end, as you can see, I have two 200 amp panels, and in the middle of it is the generator service panel. Now, this generator panel is a load shedding panel. It can actually do my entire house. So then why did I invest in the Ford Intelligent Backup Power System if I already have a 15 kW natural gas generator? Well, really just to do videos on it. I actually didn't need to install the system. I get a lot of power outages here in northern New Jersey, a few a year. Sometimes they're as long as 2 weeks. So I had to install a natural gas generator years ago just to be able to live in the house through these power interruptions. So the fact of the matter is I didn't need Ford's Intelligent Backup Power, but I really just did it to install it, to see how it works, to make videos on it, and to explain it to my followers. So here it is. These 3 pieces here are Ford's Intelligent Backup Power System. This is the inverter. This replaced that smaller inverter that I showed you before that controls 2 strings of 6 panels each. So this is my inverter. This here is the transfer switch. That's the automatic transfer switch that cuts us off from the grid when I need to have Intelligent Backup Power working. Without that, the power would also flow out to the grid, and that's a danger to the linemen. So you wouldn't be able to have your solar working or Intelligent Backup Power working without some kind of a transfer switch. Okay, and this here is the dark start battery. So there's 3 pieces to Intelligent Backup Power. Well, besides Ford Charge Station Pro, there's actually 4 pieces, but the home integration kit has 3 pieces: the inverter, the transfer switch, and the dark start battery. You need the dark start battery to have some source of power. When the power immediately goes off, the system needs to have power to communicate with the Lightning in order to start Intelligent Backup Power. So that's really just a small lithium ion battery. Okay, over here, this is the sub panel Those are the circuits that intelligent backup power powers while the system is working. So what'll happen at my house is when I have a power outage, the natural gas generator kicks on really quickly. Within 10 seconds, it turns on. So everything in the house starts working other than the circuits that I have on the intelligent backup power. Now, if my truck is plugged in, it takes a little more than a minute, I'm timing it, for the intelligent backup power system to work, but then those circuits come alive. If the truck isn't home, if I'm not plugged in, the rest of the house will be powered. I just won't have those circuits. And I made sure that they weren't real critical loads in the house in case I'm not home or the truck's not available to power it. The natural gas generator is powering some of the things that are most important in my house. However, if you didn't have a natural gas generator, like most people that have intelligent backup power, they don't also have a natural gas generator. What you would put on that panel, the sub panel, are your critical loads, the things that you want intelligent backup power to power. So I have it kind of opposite. They're the things that aren't really important in my house, but if you had intelligent backup power without any other source of power generation, those would be your most critical loads. And behind me here, we have the inverter that was there before, the larger inverter. The smaller one now has been replaced by the intelligent backup power inverter. And the cool thing about that is the panels that are controlled by this inverter, 12 of my 39 panels, now they can continue to produce electricity during a power outage as long as intelligent backup power is functioning. So this inverter is going to shut off as it always did. The natural gas generator turns on. But if I have intelligent backup power working, I'm also going to get the solar generation that goes through this inverter. Okay, so now let's take a look at how this whole system interacts, how all this different equipment works with each other under different circumstances. Since it's hard to demonstrate the power flow in real life, I'm going to switch over to animated Tom now. Okay, let's first look at how the system works normally with grid power and there's no solar production. Say at night, electricity is flowing into my home from two main power feeds. One enters the generator panel and powers the 200 amp service panel to the left. And the other feed enters the second 200 amp service panel and from there also powers the 40 amp sub panel used by intelligent backup power when the system is active. All of the power is then distributed to my home. Now let's see how it looks when my solar array is producing. Everything is the same from the grid side, but now the solar production enters and goes through two inverters. Once the solar production enters the existing inverter all the way to the right, it then goes through the solar production meter, a service disconnect, and into the service panel where it joins the grid electricity that is powering my home. You can also see some of my solar production now flows through the intelligent backup power inverter, then through the transfer switch and the intelligent backup power sub panel before powering my home. Now I do want to point out that some of my solar production can also go to the grid if my house doesn't need that much power. And I don't show that here because it's really not relevant to explaining how intelligent backup power works. And it just complicated this graph. I had to add more pipes with power flow and it looked a little confusing. Now this is when things get interesting. Let's first look at what happens immediately after a power outage. Within 10 seconds, my 15 kilowatt natural gas generator turns on and all of its power flows in the generator panel and then into one of my 200 amp service panels. This is a load shedding system, so it can be connected to much more than 15 kilowatts of power circuits and will not allow some of the higher powered loads to energize unless there's enough power for them. The second 200 amp panel doesn't get any electricity, but those aren't critical loads. For instance, the 100 amp circuit I have for my Ford Charge Station Pro is powered from that panel. So I can't use that during a power outage. But I can still charge my EVs because one of my NEMA 1450 outlets in the garage is powered by the other panel that the generator is powering. There is no solar production because I don't have a transfer switch for the system to isolate the production from going back into the grid. Now let's see how it looks when I plug in my Lightning and intelligent backup power comes on. I'm going to stop the generator power flow for a minute so we can concentrate on the components in Intelligent Backup Power. The Dark Start battery sends power to the inverter and the transfer switch. The system then sends a signal to Ford Charge Station Pro, which tells the Lightning to begin delivering power. Now that power comes directly from the truck's battery and is in direct current. It enters the Intelligent Backup Power inverter where it's converted to alternating current and sent through the transfer switch into the Intelligent Backup Power service panel, and those circuits are now energized. Okay, and finally, let's add solar production to this. Now we have no grid power. The generator is running, Ford Intelligent Backup Power is working, and the sun is shining, so my solar array is producing. You'll notice the solar production that's entering the system is only going into the Intelligent Backup Power inverter and not to the existing inverter. That's because, as I explained, the existing system doesn't have an automatic transfer switch to isolate it from the grid, so the solar system cannot operate. However, Intelligent Backup Power does have an automatic transfer switch, so the solar production from the 12 panels I have connected to this inverter can produce energy during an outage. My Intelligent Backup Power inverter has a 4 kilowatt limit. Otherwise, I could have connected more panels to it. Ford is going to offer these inverters with higher power acceptance. But since I was one of the first people to purchase the system, the larger inverters weren't available yet. So if you are getting the system and you currently have solar, make sure you match your inverter to what your system can put out. Okay, so that's how my system works under different conditions. Now remember, Intelligent Backup Power can put out 9 kilowatt of power. My natural gas generator puts out 15 kilowatts. So together I have 24 kilowatts of power, enough to power my whole house. And I have a fairly good size house. But will Intelligent Backup Power alone be good enough for you? Because chances are you're not going to have this kind of setup with a generator as well as this. If you have the generator, you're probably not going to buy Intelligent Backup Power. So now let's say you just have Intelligent Backup Power and you got to work with these 9 kilowatts. Is that enough? Well, it depends on your specific situation. It depends how big your house is. Do you use electricity to power all of your appliances? If that's the case, it's probably not going to be enough. If you have an electric range, an electric hot water heater, an electric clothes dryer, in addition to all your lighting in your house, your refrigerators and so forth, no, Intelligent Backup Power is not going to be enough. It's going to be dependent on your specific situation. You're going to have to decide what critical loads you put on that sub panel. Of course, you're going to have your lighting, you're going to have your refrigerators, as I said, maybe a small air conditioner. You're going to have your electrician do a load calculation and decide exactly how much appliances in your house can get put on that when they do the installation. But unfortunately, this will not power your entire house like the setup I have here, unless you have a very small house. Okay, now, how much does this all cost? Well, let's take a look at the breakdown. As I've shown, there are 4 necessary components for Intelligent Backup Power. You've got your Ford Charge Station Pro, and then the 3 components in the home integration kit. Charge Station Pro comes standard with the extended range battery pack in the Lightning. But if you have a standard range Lightning, you need to purchase it through Sunrun, and it costs $1,310. Then you have to purchase the home integration kit, and that costs $38.95. Again, you purchase that through Sunrun. So just the equipment alone costs either $3,895 or $5,205, depending on which battery is in your F-150 Lightning. But then you need to have it installed. And even the simplest, most straightforward installation of both Ford Station Pro and the home integration kit here is going to cost somewhere between $3,500 and $4,000. If you have a complex, difficult installation like I had here, I had to do a service upgrade, I had other components that had to get worked into it, I had the generator sub panel that had to get put up, that's going to run as much as $10,000. So figure, depending on your specific installation, somewhere between $3,500 and $10,000. That's for the installation, on top of the $3,895 to $5,200 just for the hardware. So as you can see, you're looking at a pretty expensive system here. And in the end, it's only going to put out 9 kilowatts. So is intelligent backup power really worth it? Let's stack up the costs and see where we're at. As you could see, it's going to cost somewhere between $7,500 and as much as $15,000. And quite honestly, it can be even more than that if your installation is a very complex one. Now at that cost, it's actually hard for me to justify getting it. Quite honestly, while I love the system, it's very expensive when you consider the alternatives. Now the Lightning comes standard with Pro Power onboards. Fantastic system that Ford has, and it's not just the electric Lightning. Ford has it available in their other F-150s also. But the Lightning comes standard with the full 40 amp, 9.6 kilowatt Ford Pro Power onboard. And with that, there's 11 power outlets throughout the truck. You can run 11 extension cords to your house and have extension cords all over the place and get the 9.6 kilowatts that intelligent backup power has. So it's basically the same amount of power. Now you won't be able to power things that are hardwired in your house, let's say your lighting and things like that, but you could plug in your refrigerators and some of the things that's really important. Even an air conditioner, you could run out of the 240 volt outlet in the bed of the Lightning. Then you could also install a manual transfer switch if you wanted to and have that run off of the 30 amp 240 volt outlet in the bed of the truck. Now that would be powering hardwired items in your house. That's the same as having, say, a portable generator. People put those in their homes and then they have an outlet outside that they plug the generator in and it feeds the house. The Lightning can do that, and quite a lot of Lightning owners have already done that. I've been monitoring the forums and I've seen a lot of people install that. You can get one of those manual transfer switches and sub panels installed at your house all in for like $1,500. So, you know, yes, it's a little bit less power because now you're just talking about that one outlet, which is 7 kilowatts compared to the 9 kilowatts that intelligent backup power has. But, you know, look at the price delta, $1,500 or, you know, $10,000 or $15,000. It's a huge difference. Then there's another option. You could also just buy a portable gasoline or propane generator. I've seen them for $1,000 for 12 kilowatt units. And now you have to install that with the manual transfer switch that I just talked about. But you could buy the generator and have the transfer switch installed. You're all in for like $2,000. And you've got 12 kilowatt of power as opposed to the Lightning's 9. So yeah, it's difficult to make the financial case. Now I know some people, depending on their specific situation, it will make the most sense. And then you could talk about using it for things like energy arbitrage, which Ford allows, and it doesn't affect your warranty, like having the Lightning charged overnight during low cost electricity and then having it power your house during the day. Now that's a whole nother video to get into. So there are advantages to the intelligent backup power system with the Lightning, but for here today, we're just going to really talk about powering your home during a power outage. And once you add it all up, while I love the system, I'm not quite sure it's going to make financial sense for most Lightning owners. Now, if you do decide to get intelligent backup power installed at your house, I do urge you to get multiple quotes. Now, that might not be that easy because this is a complex system, and I think many electricians aren't going to want to take it on. They don't have any experience with it. So make sure whomever you contact is totally comfortable with installing this and believes that they're not going to have an issue with it. Now, Ford's partner for installation is Sunrun. So I definitely would recommend getting a quote from Sunrun just to see what they offer. I also recommend having you give my channel sponsor, Qmerit, a quote, the team that did the installation here. They're nationwide, and they actually used my installation to build a training program for their other installers. In addition to the installers, they had a team of people here taking video, taking pictures, taking notes, and they're put together a training program out of that to use to train their other installers that get called to install the system. This is all new. You know, this isn't like just installing a charging station or a jacuzzi. This was complicated. It wasn't just hooking the wires up. I mean, you had to hook your laptop up to it and you had to download information. And I mean, it was something that wasn't just straightforward. This took us 4 days to install the whole system, not just intelligent backup power. That's with the service upgrade, but just make sure that you're comfortable with who you use and get multiple quotes so you have confidence in the installer and are comfortable with the price they offered. I need to point something out though. Currently, only Sunrun can link intelligent backup power to your FordPass app. Now you may remember earlier when I was in my Lightning, I showed you that I linked my ChargeStation Pro to my FordPass app, and I linked my Lightning to my ChargeStation Pro. And the Lightning is linked to intelligent backup power because it all works together. However, I can't use my FordPass app to control intelligent backup power. Not yet. That's because only Sunrun can make that connection. I really don't understand why, but that's how it's currently set up. However, I have talked to Ford about this on 2 different occasions, and both times they promised me it was going to be set up very soon where any installer can link the system to your FordPass app. As a matter of fact, I spoke with Ford just this week, and they told me they're expecting to have it all settled by the end of January. Now it's January 12th here today, so within 2 weeks, we should have full app functionality for any installer. However, right now, I have to have my system set on automatic so that whenever I have a power outage and it's plugged in, it automatically turns on. Once I have it linked to my FordPass app, I could set that on manual and then decide when intelligent backup power turns on. I'm going to do an updated video once I have that functionality established and I can show people exactly how you manipulate intelligent backup power from your FordPass app. Now, I know some of you might watch this video and say, wow, Tom is really down on it. It sounds like he's not recommending it. You know, I have to be truthful, and it's very expensive. And the fact that the Lightning already has Pro Power on board where it gives you that power, albeit in a different way where it's not, say, as elegant as intelligent backup power where it can automatically turn on and power your house. It's just tough. If that price delta was a little bit closer, it would be worth it. Now, I think it's going to be worth it for some people, but it depends on your individual situation. Now, I hope this video helped you make a decision on whether or not you're going to get intelligent backup power. I hope you learned a little bit about the system. I love this system. And the fact of the matter is, it's the first of its kind. Somebody had to be first. And Ford went out and did it. Ford is the first one to put out a system like this. In 10 to 12 years, all automakers are going to have systems like this. Every electric vehicle is going to be able to do this with their home by the end of this decade. And then the next step after that is talking to the grid, vehicle to grid, where your utilities actually can be able to pull power from your battery, provided you give them permission to do that, to prevent brownouts and blackouts. Electric vehicle batteries are going to end up helping stabilize the grid. Now that's a little bit further out. This is now. And over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see every electric vehicle offer this type of two-way power flow to your house. But Ford was the first one. 10 or 12 years from now, when all EVs have it, we're going to be able to look back and say, this guy right here was the first one, and you watched it right after it got installed. Listen, if this is your first time here at State of Charge, please don't forget to ring that notification bell, subscribe to my channel, give me a big like on this video if you think that I presented it well, and as always, thanks for watching.